Nathan's Gurn, as you can see, not Bo Bishop, but Browns quarterback coach Bill Musgrave. Turn that on. All right, there we go. Technicalities aside, here with Browns quarterback coach Bill Musgrave. Coach, how are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. We've had a good week, and we got to keep on keeping on.
How fun is it to finally get to have defenders out there?
Yes, this week has been big, just as you said. Being able to go against defenders, live defenders, is good for all four of our QBs.
All right, for people who may not know, you played the position in the National Football League with the 49ers, amongst others, but I was certainly, for me as a young man growing up in the Bay Area, you were there for my some of my formative years. Stories of getting into the Super Bowl, all of these things and whatnot. What's the biggest difference now between what the quarterback was asked to do when you played and what the quarterback is asked to do today?
Oh, I can't imagine. Number one, we're in the shotgun a lot. When I was with the 49ers in the early 90s, we were under center. Even if it was 3rd and 25, we were going to be under center. So that's a big difference. And then defenses have gotten more and more complex, as we can imagine. Joe Gibbs, the coach of the Redskins for all those years, used to say the game at the professional level probably changed 10 to 15% every year, and it really does. It really does, with people evolving, coaches, players, different schemes, different approaches. So it's been a lot.
And you've gotten to see a lot of that. Has that been fun to see that evolution?
Yes.
And if you think of you were the quarterback coach of you and Steve Young, what your role would have been and what you would have been asking them to prepare for versus now being the quarterback coach that you are and everything that you're asking Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett to prepare for. Yeah. That's probably got to blow your mind in some sense, but you've kind of been there all along, so it's been slow change that has added up to huge change.
But you're right, distinctly different, and it's great that I still have those notes from Gary Kubiak and Mike Shanahan. I always refer back. I refer back to them, and they're nostalgic a little bit, but they're also certain principles that have withstood the test of time. You know, with our footwork and our rhythm, our eyes, being able to anticipate defenders rather than being more reactive. So a lot of those quarterback concepts have, they apply across the decades.
Well, that's why you still like, I'm sure, that we call them keepers, right? The play-action boot game is still something that looks the same as it did 30 years ago.
Yeah, and I think it's going to match up even better for us this year. I know Tommy Reese and Kevin are working long and hard about marrying the run and the pass. Yep. And back when things were really rolling years ago, whether Kevin was at Minnesota, when Kevin got here initially, that was really an integral part of the offenses. And it'll be great to go back to the future and return to those concepts.
Those roots, and you got some good running backs in the draft to help you guys do that as well, a great offensive line. Why is it that when you have that type of a system really humming, that those, and it can come out of 13 personnel, come out of 12 personnel, it doesn't matter, but those play actions are really where you're able to manufacture the vertical game, the shot plays? Why? What is it about? It feels like it's easier than if you're just in shotgun and to run verticals. Of course, you can do it, but when you have that play action game really working, that's where those shots can come.
Yeah, Kevin says this all the time, and Tommy does as well. It makes us more difficult to defend. It makes the defense have to play the run first and then diagnose mid-down what our intent was, rather than, as you said, shotgun, drop back. They get to pin their ears back and get in pass rush mode from the get-go.
Yep.
And that's a tougher way to make a living.
You mentioned kind of the change to more shotgun. You have kids coming in, and Dylan and Shedeur, that not lived in shotgun, but you could basically say they lived in shotgun. You know, there's maybe a few clips we can find of them getting under center, but not much. And then to transition from that to what we're going to ask them to do, you know, a lot of these guys have not regularly turned their back from the defense, and picking that kind of stuff up. How much harder is that transition than maybe people realize, if it is?
No, you said it, and you're using our language to a T. That's what we talk about. It's tough to turn your back on the defense as you depart from center. You make a great play fake, and then you want to find out what you missed when you get to the top of your drop. That's high degree of difficulty, graduate level stuff for quarterbacks. And so you need turns at those. You need reps, turns. You need time on task because – in high school and college, there's not as many offenses still doing that. At this level, with the defenders what they are, where each team has a Myles Garrett type player, we can't just let those guys tee off on us. We've got to make them play the run.
Hesitate.
Yeah, make them play the game honestly and not cheat the drill.
Yeah.
And so being under center leads to that intent, and it also gives us a fighting chance to get in front of those guys for a moment so we can launch those balls down the field.
Having you who did that, and then I can go back a couple of years ago when Joe Flacco came in, it was like he was a natural with that hard play action back to the defense, figuring out what he missed, and then getting it vertically. How valuable is it for these young guys to, because Kenny's a young guy, to have him in that room with you, somebody who's done it?
It's terrific. Thus far, Joe,
he's the best.
Joe's been great because he leads by example. Also, when Joe speaks, people listen because he's just got an incredible credibility and history. You know, you just look at his body of work. So the fact that Joe's 6'6" sure helps him be good at that. He's a 6'6" flamethrower back there. So he can see things that the rest of us mere mortals, and common field mice cannot see. So it is good to watch Joe and the way that he operates, and we all can glean, both players and coaches, things that he's picked up over all these years.
Is it wild that at his age he still throws it with the velocity and just it's still effortless looking?
It is. He was put on this earth, to throw footballs, throw baseballs. When he was in high school, I was at Virginia, and we were trying to recruit both he and Matt Ryan to get to come down to Virginia. So I would go up to Philadelphia and South Georgia and watch Joe throw a couple baseball games, sit next to his dad that spring, and watching him throw 92, 93 as a high school junior.
That's heat.
Yeah, and just natural.
Gas, as
not,
they would say.
Not as if he was straining to do that.
Right. And he did not go to Virginia.
How about that? He went to Pitt. Yeah, went to Pitt, of course, and then ended up at Delaware and just has had an incredible journey.
And Matt Ryan ended up at BC.
Yep, incredible journey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good recruiting class.
Oh, man, we had them targeted. We just couldn't get
them
to become Cavaliers.
Well, the best part is now he is here at Cleveland Brown. 4 quarterbacks, some challenges in that, and I think this is going to be something that maybe you're not familiar with. I know I'm not familiar with it, where this is going to be the reps are going to be scrutinized. How many reps? When are the reps? Everybody's going to rep crazy right now. You got to get 4 guys in there. You're doing something that I think is very smart, running at times, simultaneous A and B. But how do you guys kind of go about that plan? And then how is it, slated to evolve based on performance?
Yeah, I think we'll see how it shakes out. But we're really trying to maximize our time out on the field. There's rules in place, so we can't be out there 18 hours a day, even though we'd like to be.
You'd like to be, sure.
But the guys are doing a super job. They're making the most of every opportunity they get. And they're also making the most of when they're not in the play, watching and learning from someone else's triumphs or when someone else perhaps stubs their toe.
All right, let's talk about these quarterbacks for a little, and then we'll kind of talk about the process that goes into getting them, going through a day in the life of an NFL quarterback now. But let's start with Kenny Pickett, because 15-10 as a starter, 7 game-winning drives, guy who's been very, very productive in the National Football League. And, here he is on his 3rd team. Probably was a better fit for Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh, but never got the chance to play with him. And now he comes to a system that feels like is pretty tailor-made to what he does well and the way that he wins as a quarterback.
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed being around Kenny this spring. We've had a number of weeks in Phase 1 and Phase 2, and now we're in the OTAs in Phase 3. He's really bright, really sharp. He can visualize. He can adapt. He's got a quick processor in that brain of his, so he's going to be fun to work with.
Has he taken a liking to this as well, in terms of what it's asking of him and the things? He's a better athlete than I think a lot of people realize as well back there, but it feels like this is going to suit him well. Has he enjoyed kind of this offense and what's going to bring out for him? Well,
I think so. He sure gives that impression. He's very positive each and every day. He's not up and down. He's not a moody guy. He's the same guy every day. Comes in, professional grade, and I know his teammates have really respected that, and they've gravitated toward him.
We've talked a lot about Joe. Let's talk about the young guys, because that's probably fun to get to see and mold these guys. You got 2 of them in there. Start with Dylan Gabriel. More starts than anybody in college football history, more passing touchdowns than anybody in college football history. You're already smiling.
Oh, yeah. You just talk about a body of work.
Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, he's seen a lot and made a lot of great plays, made mistakes that he's learned from. So that's the key, is getting out there and being able to do it. And both our young guys have had a lot of time on task at the college level.
Yeah, and then there's Shador, who has made some beautiful throws. Dylan has as well. So much kind of it's just interesting the path that led to him being a Cleveland Brown. I think we're certainly better off for it. What's he been like since he's been here? And certainly, yesterday effective in the red zone. What's he shown you, in that room?
They've done a nice job. Both guys, I think, are becoming more comfortable every day, in our language, in the way that we huddle. Cause
they haven't called plays.
Not a lot of huddles in college and high school, which is good. It's not the college's responsibility to get these guys ready for the NFL. They're responsible for lighting up the scoreboard and winning games.
Yeah.
So it's no skin off anybody's nose. We're just trying to get them ready to call some plays, get ready with the language, present in an orderly manner, of course, and do the right thing once they get to the line of scrimmage. And they're making strides to do that every day.
I don't know the last time there was really kind of a pure quarterback competition in the National Football League. This is exciting. Are you kind of excited to be a part of it and see how this all ultimately shakes out?
Yeah, I think the entire team is, the entire building. We're excited because we've got good young men on the team, and we're looking back to getting on the right side of the ledger this year. So we're excited. We've got a bunch of team-oriented people, not only at the quarterback position but across the board. So it's a really terrific process with which to be a part.
All right, you got to run. I'm told that you've got a lot to do. We need to get you back in there because I have so much more to ask you. But last one. Where's the baseball glove? Are we still going to keep using that?
Well, when I need to catch for the QBs, I definitely need the glove just as a blocker.
Yeah,
those guys want to see somebody catch it and not, get beat up by the ball. When
no, we don't want you being beat up.
Yes, and I'm not what I once was. No spring chicken. So I need to catch those balls. So any help I can get,
yeah, you'll take it.
I'll employ.
You'll take it, Coach. Thank you so much for the time. We really enjoyed having you on the program. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you.
All right.